Hello, everybody in the interwebs. Welcome to another session of InSpec Office Hours. I am your host. I'm Kaya. I am a DevRel here at Progress Chef, and I am joined by a familiar face and a new face. Familiar face, Lokesh, is our product manager over on the InSpec team. And our new face, Satish, this is your first time joining us. You're a principal engineer
Yeah,
over also on the InSpec team. Thank you guys for joining us today.
yeah,
Um,
Well,
yeah, today's going to be a good day. We're going to talk about Docker and Kubernetes compliance overview. So that's pretty cool. I'll let you take it away pretty shortly here, um, Lokesh. But first, I want to go over some pre-flight checks as we normally do on our live streams. So if you're not following us on Twitter, what are you doing? Definitely follow us at Chef on Twitter. Easy to remember. There you're gonna find updates about new webinars, planned outages, our live streams, and also a host of other social fun chef stuff. Also, if you're not on there, you should be because it's a wealth of knowledge. It's where our community gathers, and it's where, depending on your time zone, you can pretty much get answers to your questions like right away. Um, we also host a community meeting on Thursdays at noon Eastern time on community Slack. So definitely check that out if you are interested in things that are going on in the chef world. Also, our Discourse channel is another way of we communicate. It's more like Stack Overflow, our own version of Stack Overflow. So if you got a longer form question, and maybe you live in a place where there aren't people in the community Slack that generally, when people aren't up in that area, put it on Discourse, and generally, within a day, somebody will answer. And as always, check out our docs. You've got some technical questions. Generally, that's where you start. Then, if you're still not clear, then go to our community Slack. But definitely start at the docs. That's going to be your place to kind of get started. Where some fundamental chef topics are located. So, without further ado, I will pass it over to you, Lokesh and Satish, and you guys take it away.
all right. Thanks, Kia. Thanks for the intro, and let me share my screen. Yeah, can you see my screen, Kia?
Yes, you're
Yeah.
sharing.
Right. All right. Good day, folks. I'm Lokesh, and I'm currently working as a product manager for Chef Complaints and InSpec product portfolio. And I've been with Chef for almost more than a year. It's been a fantastic journey working with InSpec side of things. And along with me, I have Satish, who is currently working as a principal engineer, who has been with Chef InSpec for almost a year. So without further ado, let's deep dive into the topic for today. So for today's topic, we have like a Docker and Kubernetes compliance overview. So this is the quick agenda. Like I just wanted to quickly recap the key features on the InSpec side of things, and then like how the Docker host scanning is important, and like on like the compliance for containers, the next topic, and then in the InSpec side of things, like the core resources supported for Docker and the cloud resources support for Docker and Kubernetes, and like what sort of premium content we have in things like Docker and Kubernetes, and what is scoped in future releases, and a quick demo on CA's benchmark related to Kubernetes by Satish. So this is the today's agenda, and on InSpec side of things. things like key features. The first key feature is like it's like an agentless, meaning like you don't need to install inspec on the target machine. That is like inspec can use SSH or WinRM to carry out any sort of testing. And then like it is technology or platform agnostic. That is a second key feature. Like inspec can be used on multiple platforms like Windows, Linux, and with different flavors of Linux and Docker and multiple cloud providers like AWS, Azure, and GCP. And right now we have started adding cloud resource pack support for Ali Cloud as well. And one other interesting item which I have to highlight here is like one of us is using InSpec on like 8 million cloud assets. So imagine the scale. That is the last point, easy to scale. So it can target thousands of nodes by seamlessly integrating with automate. And then like and then third point, InSpec is easy to use, and it's incredibly flexible, meaning like it offers numerous resources out of the box. And then however it is also quite easy to create your own custom resources to meet your requirements. And then like inspect tests are very easy to write, read, and they closely resemble like a human readable format. And all you need is like a chef workstation to get started. And as I said like before, it's like easy to scale. So this is on the key features of inspec, which I wanted to highlight. This slide you would have seen most of the inspec presentations are written in a quick, easy consumable format. So yeah, on scanning the Docker host. So one important point to note on container security is like ensuring like scanning the containers alone won't guarantee like 100% coverage on the security of containers. So scanning a Docker host it's a prime important factor in container security. Meaning like what if the host on which all the containers are running is vulnerable? Then the security posture of the containers are not guaranteed enough, and it's in and the whole security content security would be in like troubled waters. And then like we have like CIS Docker benchmarks, which covers the best practices needed for Docker security configurations, and then the host security configurations um, on those lines. So and moving on like yeah, on complaints for container. So, in addition to scanning the host, InSpec also inspects the elements of Docker container through the API, and is done without making any changes to the container content or like not disturbing the build pipeline. And then like we also have inspec x command with container id, which is used to scan the containers. And one other incredible feature which we want to highlight is it's like without adding any inventory or without adding any agent or without adding any additional software, security of containers are guaranteed with inspec, as it's like an agentless tool. So inspec is agentless. That is the another key feature which I have highlighted in the first slide. So this is on the complaints for containers info. And moving on to inspec support. So what sort of core resources we have and what sort of cloud resources we have from inspec side of things, uh, related to Docker and Kubernetes. So one is like Docker core resource, which is used to allow users to write test for many containers, whether container is running or not. That could be like one sample test. And then like it allows you to write tests for many images, like whether an image exists or not. And other sample tests, it could be like to return all the running containers, and to verify Docker and the client version, to verify the host configuration across all containers, to verify health checks, whether it has been enabled in the container level. So these sort of tests you can perform through Docker resource. And then there is another resource called Docker container, which allows you to test based on different container configuration, container id, image, repos, tags, container run commands. And then like Docker image resource, it allows you to test based on different image configuration data like image id, repo name, and image tag. And then Docker plugin, If you see, it allows you to it allows you to pass the plugin ID and see whether that test has been passed, or whether the test has been enabled or not. Sorry, the plugin has been enabled or not. And then on Docker service, it allows you to test the value of service mode, like service name, and like different published ports. So these related these many tests you can perform on Docker container, Docker image, Docker plugin, and Docker services. And this is on the core resources related to Docker and Kubernetes. And if you see on cloud related resources, like cloud resource pack side of things, and on AWS, if you see, like we have AWS ECR image. This used to test like a single image in an AWS ECR repository through repository name and through image and fare. And then similarly, we also have like AWS ECS cluster, which is used to test based on the cluster name. And then we also have like AWS EKS cluster, which is used to test based on the EKS cluster name. So this is on the AWS side of things. And we have like Azure AKS is used to Azure AKS cluster, Azure Container Group, Azure Container ST, which is used to test the clusters based on the name, resource group, and resource ID. And similarly, we on the same parallel lines, we have built resources for Google as well, GCP as well, like Google Container Cluster, Google Container Node, and Google Container Region. So these are the core resources and cloud resources which helps users and customers to test the containers, Dockers, and Kubernetes in a seamless way. And for the complete set of resources, I would recommend all the users to refer this docs.shefo.io inspec/resources. You can have them. You can look into these resources, and where we have explained all the examples in a detailed way. And please feel free to check it out. And moving on to premium content. So right now, we have developed a CAS benchmark for Docker Community Edition benchmark level 1 and level 2, and CAS Kubernetes benchmarks level 1 and level 2, which is currently available in production. And for future, we are planning to launch CAS Google Kubernetes Engine benchmark, CAS Azure Kubernetes Service benchmark, and CAS Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service benchmark in 2 to 3 quarters. So this is the plan for uh, uh, on container and Docker and Kubernetes side of things in premium content. So moving on to the next section, I would like to call upon Satish to give a quick demo around CA's benchmarks for Kubernetes. Over to you, Satish.
Yeah. So yeah, good day, folks. So today, what I'll be doing is like going through a demo of CIS benchmark on Kubernetes by running a sample cluster in AWS, and then running some inspect commands. And so yeah, let's see how it goes. Let me start sharing my screen. Cool. So for this demo, I've considered an X large EC2 EC2 instances, and here I have a master node and a worker node. So there are two nodes which are in this cluster right now. Uh, cool. So let's jump on to the inspect. So I already have the inspect CIS benchmark in my local here. And so this is to show that one point which Lokesh was addressing about how we can actually run inspect via remote. So if we see here, I'm not actually running using an agent, and I'm actually trying to perform it from my local machine connecting to that master node. Yeah. So here my benchmark is actually trying to connect to the let me actually start, and then let's do this. So yeah, here what we're trying to do is like try to run this CS benchmark against the particular master node by having my PIM key, which has access to this particular machine. So let's wait and see what is it doing. So at first place, this is a demo setup. So we are expecting to have some compliance issues running on this, and that is part of the demo. So we want to see uh, some successful rules and then some failures as well. So as we wait, I can actually talk you through what does this command here means. So here, inspec exec actually accepts the profile path actually, and the profile path is all the profile is already a folder present in my local machine as we saw here, and I'm targeting using the transport plugin called SSH, which is one of the most common transport plugins for inspec, and I'm using the default user of the EC2 machine, which was available during the provisioning time, and this is my external IP address, and then my PEM key pair. And yeah, so trying to do is like we are trying to connect to the uh, Kubernetes environment running on the master node. So we need to actually access all the configs that are actually present in the master node, and we have to use sudo because in my setup I'm running the entire Kubernetes setup as a root user. Cool. So yeah, we saw that the inspect ran, and let's go to the bottom and see what has happened. Yeah. So the summary says that it has there are like 236 successful runs and 58 failures. So for this demo purpose, what I'm going to do is like take two controls and then see how we can actually go around fixing that. And yeah. So let's see. I have something already set up. Cool. So the two controls which I'm picking up is basically a very straightforward one. One is actually letting the kubelet, uh, forcing the kubelet to run only on HTTPS, and also another one is actually forcing the kube API server to use only a secured port. So first, let's see what's happening here for these two controls. Let's run this again. So there is a, if you see, there is a difference in the way how do we execute this. So this extra additional argument called controls allows you to pass different controls from the profiles, and you can actually run those controls specifically and then maybe address your issues, or if you want to run only specific controls on a particular cluster, yes, you can do that. Rest everything is like the same command. Yeah. So here, if we see, yeah, we can see that the the Kube API server is actually enabled to provide only from the secured, enabled to open only the secured port. But we have an issue with the kubelet. So the kubelet is actually allowing HTTP URLs. So what I'm going to do is like try to fix this now. So let's log into the machine where the master node. So I usually prefer the SSH client version, but then for this short-term version, I'll just go ahead and use the connect. Yeah. So I will do minus, and then let's see. So I'm going to look for this particular test case which has failed. Let's see. Normal file. So we have this one. So what I'm going to do, yes, there are two options to fix this. One is let the kubelet HTTPS force it to true, or use the default option, which is basically letting it, which is basically true. So I'm just going to delete this, save this, uh, yeah, come back. So let me go back here and then try running this. So we can see that we were able to, so inspec was able to understand that there was a compliance issue previously, and then once we fix the issue, once we fix the configs, then inspec was able to understand that the remediation was done. So yeah, that is part of the CS benchmark demo. So I'm going to take this step next. Like, so we have this report in my local std out in the console directly. So what do we want to persist this reports somewhere, so that we can actually look back and see that, oh, there was an issue previously with this cluster, and then somebody actually fixed it. So what I'm going to do is actually publish these reports back to an automate server, chef automate server. So for this, I'm going to set up some configs, and I have already created that config, but let's open that for you. Yeah. So here our area of focus is this part. So what inspect can do is like the default reporting mechanism is basically to out, but be more persistent into an automate server. So I have a local automate instance running in my machine, but then there are cloud solutions which where we provide automate as well. So the URL will be the automates data collector endpoint, and then the token. I'll explain how do we get the token later. And then, so I'm using a node name of my K8's master, and then the node UID, and then the environment is some label which you prefer. So let me run this, and run the inspect again, and see what is the difference and what is it going to do. Yep. So if you see the difference, the console output was actually the console output is no more present because of the config where we had std out to be false. And then let's see the automate server for now. Okay, cool. We have some reports here. Yeah, let me open this. Perfect. So I can see both the control has actually uh, reported the statuses here. So what I did previously was like I also set this up for the previous setup. So let's see the scan history. So I did this like, and let's see the failure there. Yeah. So the advantage of this is like we are able to see that there was an issue previously. Yeah, with one of the controls, and then we fixed it, and then we can see the updated runs showing that the issue is fixed. Cool. Uh, so yeah, so this will be part of this demo. So Lokesh, over to you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Satish, for the awesome demo. What
Yes.
it, yeah, this is what we have planned for today's session.
Awesome. Awesome. Let me check to see if we've got any questions from the
Is there any
community.
question? Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm off mute now. Sweet. Thank you guys so much for this. This was great. I'm checking to see if we have any questions in our community Slack or in any of the chats, and I do not see any. However, if you are looking, a lot of people watch these after the fact. So if you're watching the replay, go ahead and either throw the questions in the comment section, because we go back and look over them weekly. So there's a question on this one. I will definitely hunt down Lokesh and our Satish for to get an answer to that. And that's in either YouTube, Twitch, or LinkedIn. And I guess we can call this one a wrap, guys. I think this was
Yeah,
awesome. And yeah, feel free, everybody, like I said, to follow up with questions on either community Slack or the respective platforms. And thank you guys. Thanks, Lokesh and Satish.
Thank
And
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see you for the next one.
sure.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Good
Bye.
discussion. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.